Good afternoon, Tuesday, January the 1st. Happy New Year. Just coming up to 2 p.m. And I figured we'd come out to the garage for a little bit and play around with the 250 project. And I think what we're going to do today is we're going to tackle this area up here that I talked about in yesterday's video. A little bit of tin worm up here, so we'll break out the markers. We'll mark out how we're going to repair this, and we'll go to town. We're probably going to do a two-piece patch since it's got this little sort of step in here that I want to try to avoid. So I'm going to try to trim maybe around that, so make my patch a little bit less complex, and then we'll figure out what we want to do with these over here. I'd like to be able just to plug those with weld, but I have a feeling that I'll be chasing those for quite a bit. I may actually try to just weld them shut, but this for sure I want to just actually make a little patch for. It's a little bit too lacy. So let me break out the welder. We'll see if I can patch these, or maybe we'll cut this out first and then we'll come back and see if we can patch these by just plugging them with the welder. If not, we can always cut that out as well. Anyway, we'll make a little plan for this area here. Okay, we're going to do this little area first. The reason I'm not going to go up this high is there's a piece of backing metal here behind this, so I might be able to get away with just repairing this by plugging these. But again, let's repair this part first, and then if we need to, we'll attack, like I'd mentioned, this part second, and we'll do this part second as well. Since there is a backing piece of metal in there, it's going to give me a possibility of actually just plug welding these shut. Anyway, we'll go ahead and we'll cut that little piece out. Okay, there's the first little patch cut out, and looking a little worse for wear. Well, let's extend it up to the point of the triangle here. And I just wanted to see how close this backing piece was. I didn't want to actually cut through it, but I think I've got enough distance between the top piece and the back piece to be able to cut this top out, so I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Alright, there's our cutout. We've just ground in behind there down to bare metal. I'll get some, I'm going to throw some rust converter in there before I go ahead and make this patch. So we'll grab the rust converter, spray that in there, make the patch, weld it in, grind it down. Bob's your uncle. Okay, we've got our little cutout area rust converted and primed, and we've got the back of our piece primed, so we're just about ready to weld that back in. So we're going to grab the welder, warm that baby up, and we'll tack this guy in and make sure it fits okay, and then we'll complete the welding. Alright guys, that first repair patch is in, and it looks pretty good. There's a few little pinholes that I'm going to go back and fill in, but I figured I would check this little area out and see if I could have actually plugged it with the welder, but I seem to just be chasing it and making bigger holes. So I think what we'll do is we'll cut that square out and we'll put a new patch in there just to be on the safe side. So we'll go ahead and cut that out now. Alright, there's our little cutout, or actually a bigger cutout than I anticipated, but there's our cutout, and again the metal's pretty solid in behind. I've just given it a quick grind with a Dremel. Again, we'll hit it with the rust converter and prime it before we put our piece back in. So we'll go ahead and make a piece. Here's the scrap that came out. So it's always good to take it out if you can. So there's a good lesson for you. It looks pretty rough. It wasn't going to last too much longer, so it's probably not the best course of action to go ahead and just replace the pinholes. So anyway, we'll go ahead and make the patch, weld it in. That's a little bit of a shocker. This was my Easy Lock mandrel, I guess you want to call it, for my Dremel, and you can see it's got a pretty significant bend in it. I'm not sure how that happened, but it must have taken quite a bit of force to actually bend it like that. Anyway, just you can imagine what that sounded like when it bent like that. It was kind of exciting. Alright guys, another area completed. I think it looks pretty good. Seem to have ground out okay. I think what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little filler weld down here. I don't know if you can see that very well, but there's a bit of a gap between the foot and the sill that I don't like. I'm going to be able to get a bunch of water and stuff under there. So I think I'm going to run a bead of weld along here just to seal that off, and then we'll grind that down to make it look okay. So we're going to do that next while I'm here. Alright, I'm happier with that being filled in now and welded to the actual sill as opposed to floating above it, so we're happy there. Did a little grinding here. I just did a little tack welding here, so we'll grind that up. I think what we'll do now is I still haven't finished welded the fender here at the rear, so I think we'll take the fender off and we'll finish weld this, And that'll also give me the opportunity to finish weld the vertical weld here on the sill that I didn't do yesterday. So we'll do that after a quick break for a Diet Coke. Okay, we're back from our break. So the next step is to remove the red fender again. So we'll do that and we'll finish weld that bottom piece and get that ground down. So we'll come back after we do that. Or in the process of doing that, I'll take a quick video. All right guys, one shortened fender welded. Sorry for the shaky camera while I flip this over. So there you go. So we'll grind that down and should be good to go. So let me break the grinder out and do that, and then we'll come back. The next area we're going to work on is this vertical cut down here. We'll get that welded up and we'll move on to the next area. Okay, the red fender is now officially shortened, completely welded front and back, ground down, so a little bit of filler, and you'll never know what we did unless you take a ruler and are very close. I think we took out 1/8 of an inch, so not much. But anyway, looks good. Move on to the next area. I can't remember where I left off. I think I was welding that seam down there. That's all done. That's completed. So I'm just looking for something to do. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually remove some of this Bondo and fiberglass over here. Way too much on that quarter. So I'm going to get the DA out and make some dust in here. So I thought I'd take a quick video before I do that. But yeah, I'm going to remove that, that stuff. There's way too much there. Alright guys, just come up to 7 p.m. and we did a little bit of grinding out of that Bondo. It's looking a little bit better now. Anyway, I think we're going to call it a night, just coming up to 7 p.m. So we'll call it a day. We'll go in and have some dinner and relax for the rest of the night. We'll see you tomorrow. Alright, welcome back guys. Now Wednesday, January 2nd, just coming up to 12 noon. And just looking for some more projects to do this morning. And I think what I'm going to do is work on the fender fitment holes. These holes that are drilled are for the old fenders. They do not align with the red fenders. The only hole that actually aligns this hole up front, which is a little oversized. So I think what we'll do is we'll fix that and we will weld shut all of the current holes, and we will create some new holes based on the correct ones on the red fenders. So we're going to do that today on both sides. We're also got another little repair to do here. I'm not sure whether you'll be able to see this or not. Yeah. So there's again, bottom of the B-post on the inside is missing quite a big chunk of metal. Again, this was just filled with Bondo. So yeah, I guess there wasn't too much holding the bottom of the B-post to the actual car when there's a big hole here and a big hole on the outside that I filled previously. So we'll fix that area as well. So we're just basically going around the car and trying to find areas that need repair. Obviously we need to fix this as well. So we'll put a piece of metal in here and get that welded closed as well. That's it for now. We'll come back when we start making some progress. It's darn cold out here this morning, I tell you that. I'm freezing. It's only about 5 degrees Celsius in the garage, so just having around 40 degrees Fahrenheit. But it's kind of windy outside, and I can feel a breeze kind of going through the garage, so we'll have to work faster, I guess. What I like to do to close holes up, just to make them a little bit smaller, is to weld a washer in there first, and then just fill up the center part of the hole. That seems to be the easiest thing for me to do, so just I'm not sure if that's what other guys do, but that's what I do. So I just thought I'd pass along that tip for anyone wanting to fill out the hole. Alright guys, we've got the old holes all plugged up, so we're going to go ahead and grind those down. I thought I'd give you a quick shot of that. Here's what they look like once you weld the washers in there. So we'll just grind that flush and we'll be done with it, and then we'll mark out the holes for the new fender and drill those in. Okay, we just fitted up the fender again to mark out the bolt hole location. So we've got them all indicated here along the body tub. So we'll take the fender back off and we'll drill those holes out accordingly. So to get the hole locations correct, I've measured the depth of each hole from the top of the flange down and transfer those measurements here and marked out where we need to drill the holes. So we're going to do that now. We're going to step drill, we're going to pilot drill, and then we're going to step drill them out, and we'll be done with this side. Okay, 135 update, and the Passenger side fender has now got all the holes drilled in the right location and fastened up. So we can now move on to, I think before we move on and do the same job on the driver's side, we'll finish that little gap in the bottom of the B-post on this side. So I think I'm going to do a little garage cleanup, get some of these tools put away. It's looking like a bit of a junkyard out here, so I'll probably do a cleanup and then fix that bottom of the B-post and then move on to the driver's side rear fender mount location. Okay guys, we're back from our quick break and we're going to tackle this little problem down here in the bottom of the passenger side B-post. So we're going to get the Dremel out and we're just going to cut that off a little bit more square. We'll do a little grinding around the base and we'll make a little patch to go in there. And we'll come back. Alright guys, the bottom of the B-post on the passenger side has been repaired, so now we'll move on to the next little job, which is to do the passenger or driver's side fender hole. So we'll go ahead and we'll do that now. We'll pull this fender off. Alright, it's just past 8 p.m. and we're still out here playing in the garage. So we managed to plug up the old holes for the old fenders, and we're just about to mark where the new holes need to be. And this car is the gift that keeps on giving. So as we were welding in a washer over here, I managed to find a big chunk of Bondo that came out of this hole here. So you can see in behind, again, they just scab metal over the existing metal. So that's the existing metal in behind. Anyway, we're gonna have to cut a section of this flange piece out and put a new piece in. I'm just a little concerned with the top piece and how thin it is. We'll have to wait and see, but anyway, we'll continue on and we'll put the holes in this flange where they need to be anyway, and then we'll come back and we'll repair this section here. Alright guys, just coming up to 9 p.m. so we're going to call it a night out here. So we've got the bolt locations now marked out and drilled out on the driver's side fender, so all is good there. We actually took all the Bondo out of the that was on the side of the edges of the fender flange as well. So it doesn't look too bad. It's a little bit wavy, but not too bad considering. So the only thing I didn't get to today was that stiffening panel attachment. So I've got to do that. And there was one other thing I needed to do. Oh, I got to fix that little piece here. You can just see on the inside of the fender flange. I haven't repaired that yet. So we've still got to do that tomorrow. One more thing I want to show you before I log off for the night, but that's inside on the dining room table. It's my Christmas present to myself, so I thought I would share that with you before I go for tonight and upload this. So we'll be back in a bit. Alright guys, back inside the house, and I thought I'd show what I got myself for Christmas this year. So I've always wanted a small finishing or detail gun, and I picked up this SATA Minijet 4400 BRP with a 1.0 tip. I figured this would be good for tight areas inside the engine bay, in the trunk, or maybe under the dash, etc. I've always kind of wanted a detail gun, so we've gone ahead and picked this up. So there's my Christmas present to myself for this year, the SATA Minijet 4400 BRP. The RP stands for reduced pressure. So nice looking gun. I'm looking forward to using it. I'm pretty sure that I think we may use this on Alain's car. I've volunteered the use of it for Alain when he goes to paint his GT6. He'll probably be painting before I will. So he, of course, will have a lend of my full-size SATA jet gun and this little mini jet gun if he needs it. So anyway, there's the present to myself. Thought you'd be interested. All right, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Have a good night.